Still waiting for people to log in, so I'm not going to officially greet you all yet. And I'm watching that viewer button here. So let me begin. I want to welcome you guys to the GRIPS Challenge webinar with Reg Signorelli. And as you know, this webinar is about what the heck is the GRIPS Challenge program and why should I care? And I'm certain at the end of this very short webinar, as you know, we're 30 minutes, that question will be answered in depth. We're going to dive deep into the GRIPS Challenge tennis program with Craig going into it, and this will be the first time that there's been a webinar from the player perspective, student perspective, from a parent who's thinking about enrolling in a GRIPS Challenge program for their child or for themselves. So we're hoping that you know, when you're listening to this, that you can put that in that context. But there's also webinars coming up for pros, clubs, etc. But we're here today to talk about the GRIPS Challenge for you, and you're here, and we're delighted that you are here. Do want you to know that this program is offered throughout the United States and in many states with many facilities and many testers. So if you're interested in the program after listening today, you can go to the gripsprogram.com website to search for sites and for testers. And you know, if you look at it and you say, where the heck is a program in my state or my town, just contact GRIPS and they can talk to you about developing a program at a facility or club that you're interested in. So you definitely aren't going to get closed out. So let me tell you a little bit about the big man who's here, Reg Signorelli. He is definitely a renowned developmental coach. His record speaks to that, and I could talk for 10 minutes just about that. But what I'm going to say is that he is the co-founder and co-developer of the GRIPS Challenge program. And as such, obviously, he's the authority to talk to you guys today, and he can answer any questions you might have about the program. He's also the co-executive producer of the GRIPS Challenge TV show, which did air on the Tennis Channel. We hope to have that up on the GRIPS website soon. And as you guys know, he coached 6 different players to the #1 national ranking, and he'll be telling you how he used the GRIPS paradigm in order to accomplish that. That'll happen 15 minutes into the program. He's traveled worldwide coaching ATP and WTA players, frequent speaker at tennis conventions, and so forth. Just a little housekeeping here. Viewers, on your right, you will see a chat box. If you have questions during the course of the program, please type your questions into the chat box. 25 minutes in, we're going to be answering questions, and we'll get to as many as we can. Also, if your picture freezes for any reason, just hit the refresh button in your browser, and then you'll be good to go. So listen, let me turn it over to Craig. Welcome, Craig. It's yours now.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate that.
Sure.
No, thank you very much for having me, and hello, Baltimore. I just want to give you a brief rundown of what the GRIPS program is. We actually use 2 terms these days. It's the GRIPS program and the GRIPS Challenge. We ran the GRIPS program for about 5.5 years, and once we did the television show, it was called the GRIPS Challenge, and so we've modified the name, and now we're going by the name GRIPS Challenge. Which fits with what we're doing with the program. The idea is that we have developed a curriculum for the beginner, the first time a player walks on the court, up until the professional level. It's broken down into 11 different levels, like karate, where you go white belt to black belt, but we do it white grip to black grip. The foundation is what we call the ABCs of athleticism: agility, balance, and coordination. We make sure the kids have an absolute foundation in hand-eye, ball skills with the racket, and their movement. And once they have that, then we feel it's appropriate for them to actually get on the tennis court and start playing. Once they do that, there's a series of challenges for the white grip level, and they go through a series of challenges, and when they complete that, they get, as a reward, a grip in the mail that looks like this, grip around the tennis racket. And for the little kids, strike grip, so it's a little more fun. Once they have completed the challenge, they get the grip in the mail, a certificate of achievement in the mail, and the next series of challenges that help them progress to the next level. The only way to complete one level is to absolutely master all of the challenges in that level. They must complete each one without error. And as the kids progress in the challenges and in the program, the challenges obviously get tougher. Control of the ball gets tougher. The placement of the ball gets tougher. The consistency gets higher, and the variety of shots get higher until you become a black grip professional. So that's kind of a basic overview of how the program works, and we can go into the detail as you ask the questions.
All right, Craig. Well, let's start from the top with how does the grip student evaluation process work? Because that's really where parents or players are going to begin. And listen, people who are listening, this program is not just for juniors. It's also for adults, and it's for all ability levels. So the first step in going through the program is obviously finding a club who offers it and then signing up for a GRIPS student evaluation. So can you tell us what would happen during a GRIPS student evaluation?
Sure. Sure. The player comes out, and the coach has been certified to run an evaluation and assessment. We put the kid through a series of skill tests or challenges. They are going to hit some forehands, they're going to hit some backhands, and we require them to hit with either direction, control of direction, or control of depth, or control of width and depth. And the more competency they show with the racket, the better assessment we can get, so we can place them at the appropriate starting level. Obviously, we're not going to start everyone at a white grip because that's more for the beginners. And so I'll give you an example. I have a kid named Lester Cook who I worked with for many, many years who came out and took his initial grips assessment, and he tested a purple grip, which was 2 levels from the top. Lester then trained for about 3 more months and took his gray grip test and passed it. And then he took his black grip challenge and failed it, and failed it, and failed it. And he took it 3 different times, and then went off to the U.S. Open qualifying for the adults, and he was a professional level player. And he came back from the qualifying, and he took his black grip challenges again and failed it again. And he said, actually taking the black grip challenges, the pressure of that, and the desire to succeed was more challenging than actually playing the U.S. Open. So the only person that actually passed the black grip challenge to date was Mats Wilander, who was an 8-time Wilander. Yeah. Sorry?
That is remarkable. So did that cause you to modify the program so that you would have more players achieving the black level?
That's exactly what happened. So we realized that to be an 8-time Grand Slam champion is a heck of an accomplishment, and we wanted to allow everybody to be able to access the black grip challenge. So we lowered the standard a little bit. It is still very demanding and very difficult, and it's going to require a lot of discipline and years of work to get there. But it is attainable for pretty much a high national level player, boys or girls 16s. They can do and complete all of the skills that are on that black grip challenge test. And today we've had several players pass the test, and we're hoping to push through a whole other generation of kids who reach that level.
Yeah, well, I think, Craig, what makes this different from a lot of programs is that there is an actual skill assessment before a player can enroll in your program, whereas other programs, ours included, you can enroll. You just say, "Oh, I'm going to sign up for a beginner class," or "I'm going to sign up for an advanced beginner class," or "I am an advanced beginner." But in this, it's actually the opposite. What you're doing is you're saying, no, you got to go out and be assessed, and based upon that assessment, then you are eligible to sign up for a GRIPS class that corresponds with your skill set. So how does this affect kind of the dynamic of how a class might work, because you've taken that key step?
Well, what you just said was really the genesis of the program. I'll tell you very briefly how it started, because it really answers your question. There was a lady who came to me with her son and said, I want my boy in the national level program to train with you guys. And I said, well, he's really not at this level. And she said, I don't care, I want him in. And we got a little heated, and I said, you know what, you're right. We need something objective to decide whether the player has merited entrance into the class. And so I didn't want to have a debate. I wanted the kid to prove it and earn it and make it a meritocracy. And so we wrote a curriculum for him and said if the kid can pass these skills, which is what all the players are doing in the national level class, we'll put the child in the class. Well, the kid couldn't pass. The mom went off really mad. The boy went off upset. And we figured we'd never hear from him again, and I felt a little bad. But 6 weeks later, the boy came back, and his mom said, "Can you please take those challenges again?" And we said, "Yes," and he passed. And we said, "What's been going on?" And she said, "I just want to say thank you because for the last 6 weeks, you've given him direction and a roadmap as to how to reach the national level class. And he's been working on that. And at this point, he feels like he's actually earned his way in by doing the work, and it taught him a lesson." And a little light bulb went off over my head and Aaron's head. And we said, this wouldn't be a bad idea to set this up for all classes, to take it out of the hands of coaches to say you're at this level, and make it very objective and give parents a roadmap to go from point A to point B and to realize what it takes to get into each individual class.
So how many years was that in the development, Craig?
It was between that day when he came, and I wrote down the initial scratches for what a program might look like. We spent about 18 months to 2 years really researching and refining what would be appropriate to take a kid from one level to the next level. And we tested at several clubs and got a lot of feedback from coaches and players and parents and said, we've got to make some modifications here. This kid's moving too fast. This one's moving too slow. This little boy can't quite do a slice at this level. And we finally, after about 2 years, really refined it to the point where we're not making any changes anymore. This is the curriculum and the structure that will ensure that kids have a complete skill set by the time they complete our course.
Okay, so I kind of want the viewers to know, Craig, that your curricula, I have poured through it. I mean, right now you've got, I think, over 700 pages in your curricula. So, people that are listening in, you can imagine the depth of the criteria for the skill set in order to say, okay, I'm a white player now, this is what I need to do next to be the next level, the gold level, and so forth. So literally what you have to do and accomplish in order to move from one level to another. And Craig, how successful has that been as a carrot for not just kids, adults, to drive them to want to move from one level to another? Has this been an effective mechanism for achievement-oriented people?
I go out and present to tennis clubs all the time about the program, and the one thing we can't explain when we initially try to demonstrate the program is on the day of the challenge where the kids come out and they pass. And that moment of, I did it, that success moment and achievement moment, which then drives them to say, give me the paper, I want the next series of challenges. And the other thing that Aaron and I always talk about is in the initial days of this, we saw 5-year-olds out on ball machines simply because they wanted this thing. Which to us seems insignificant and costs nothing to go buy it at the tennis club, but to them it's a symbol of achievement, a symbol of completion, and they want to compare themselves to their peers and try to get a grip that goes beyond what their brothers or sisters or friends can do. And so it absolutely motivates them. It retains them in the game, which is one of the things that we wanted. We're losing tennis players to soccer and basketball and some other sports, and we wanted a way to give the kids a complete, and the parents, a roadmap to success that was reward-driven. And that's keeping the kids in the game long enough to actually achieve success and go on to high school teams and college teams and get the scholarships that we all hope in their dreams they get.
Yeah. Kind of to make it clear to people who are listening, so what happens is you go out, you're evaluated, you're tested, then you sign up for a class that corresponds with your grip color, and you receive this actual grip in the mail from Grips that as an overgrip for your racket. So the kids and the adults looking in the classics and say, oh my gosh, you're a gold, oh you're a blue, oh this puts kind of some fierce, I think, competitive bones in some. And I know you also, of course, mail out the achievement certificate, and then there's retesting. There's retesting so that you have the opportunity to move up to another level and so forth. And you know what it is you need to do in order to move up to the next level. So, Craig, I think this would be two things I want to get in here. One is I'd like for you to talk briefly about those 3 core elements that we promised we would tell these viewers about that you found are just the core for developing tennis players, and you is the basis, actually, the fulcrum point for the GRIPS program. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to literally give you an insider's tour of the player's dashboard, because there is also an online element to the GRIPS program. So let's go to those 3 core elements, and then we'll do that dashboard tour.
Sure. Footwork, ball skills, and hand-eye coordination. That is the foundation of athleticism. And what's happening with this generation is we are now internet-driven. Our kids are on screens. They're on iPhones and iPads and computers all the time. And they're not necessarily getting the exposure to running out and riding bikes and climbing trees and throwing balls, with PE classes also being leaving the schools. And so a lot of the kids don't have the athletic foundation required to walk out into a tennis class to succeed quickly. And what you'll see is a coach dropping a ball, and the kid swings and misses, and he drops a ball, and the kid swings and misses, and maybe at some point they make contact. And really, that player is probably not ready for a tennis lesson yet. They need to develop the hand-eye coordination, and we have a series of drills for hand-eye, a series of drills for movement, and a series of drills for ball skills, so they get familiar with the balance and coordination with the racket, that when they first walk out on the court with a coach, they can actually be successful. Mm-hmm. And having success early in the experience is what's going to retain them and captivate them to continue with the sport. And ultimately, this is a lifelong sport, and they can do it for 80 years. So if the start is right, hopefully the finish is going to be.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I'm going to turn on this, let's just hope it works here, this custom overlay. Let's see if we can see it here. Craig, it doesn't look like it's going to come up, so let's wing it here. I know you know what the player dashboard looks like.
Sure. When players sign up for the program, each player sees what we call a player dashboard, and on that dashboard are informational articles about the program, the curriculum for them to see what challenges they have to pass to go to the next level. They all have a profile page, and they can interact with each other. But kids can only talk to kids on the site. Kids can't talk to adults or coaches. And it's really an educational dashboard and place where they can interact with the tennis community. But the key to it is that's where they can go and take their online test, if you will. And the online test is knowledge about the game. How do I enter a tournament? How do I read a draw? What goes in my tennis bag? What does string tension mean? And it's really, for us, there's a lot of times the coaches are so dedicated to helping the kids get better and teach them about how to hit a forehand, how to hit a backhand, and the strategy of the game, that there's a lot of things that are lost, like how to enter a tournament and maybe some of the nutritional stuff and strategy stuff that coaches don't necessarily have time to teach. And we want to ensure that the kids have that knowledge so that they can be more successful in the game without necessarily having a coach tell them those things.
Yeah, I think in other sports we have kids and adults who are very, very bright they know everything there is to know about the history of the sport, they know their playing field, they know the rules, they know all this. And this doesn't really permeate tennis, so you're really putting that back into the importance that it should carry for players participating in the game. Because with that knowledge comes confidence. When you have something.
Exactly right. You've nailed it. And with confidence comes success and belief I can hit the ball and I can win this match. And it becomes a cycle that eventually breeds success in both tennis and life. So.
Yeah. What are some, with your online, the online website, with the player dashboard, parent dashboard, and by the way, parents, it is safe for the kids. This is set up so it does protect your children. There's no privacy issues. Just wanted to make sure we said that, Craig. What are some interesting statistics that have come out as a result of using this program online, where you're learning about shot combinations, or what's the most often used shot that things that we might be interested to know that you've learned through this online development?
Yeah, it's really fascinating. We do see that the kids, through the online testing, they miss the history questions a lot. And now we're seeing the kids not miss it because they're going to Google and finding out some of the history of the game. But as far as the tennis part goes, every time a challenge is done on the court, that data comes back to us. And what we're finding is, across the country, we can start identifying which coaches, which clubs are producing the best backhand on the line, or the best volleys, or the best inside-out, inside-in combinations, or the best serves, and how one club is doing compared to another club, and identify which programs are being more successful in moving kids up quicker through the program. But information that's relevant that will probably be important to you is the backhand down the line has proven to be the most frequently failed shot in American tennis on these tests. And so if I'm a coach, I'm obviously going to put a little more attention to that, because that's a way for my kid to win, to have the shot and be able to execute the shot where other people can't. We're also seeing the wide serve on the ad side is probably the toughest serve for the kids to hit. And so maybe putting a little attention to that earlier in their development will lead to longer-term success. And so as the program continues, we're getting more and more data, and we're trying to disseminate that data to the tennis community, so we raise the tide, and we're lifting all boats across the country.
Well, that's fascinating material there, Craig. I'm sure people are going to be practicing these shots now. And let me guess, is it California that has these stats, these high stats?
Say again, I'm sorry?
Is it California that's pulling up these big stats? just a wild guess. Now, listen, I wanted to let the viewers know that we in Baltimore, Maryland, through Howard County Recreation and Parks, we're partnered with them. We're offering a free GRIP student evaluation on Monday, August the 4th from 5:30 to 7 at Centennial Park West. And if you look over here in your chat bar, you can click on the Sign Up Today button to get in. You do have to pre-register for the free evaluation, because we got some Dynamite fall classes coming up too. But again, listeners, you want this program, all you need to do is to go to gripsprogram.com and check out their website. And Craig, are you receptive to hearing from people via email with questions or follow-up?
Absolutely. You can write me at Craig@gripschallenge, GRIPS challenge.com, and I will get back to you as soon as possible, which should be immediately most of the time. I want to touch on one more thing then, if we can, but if you have other stuff you want to bring up, that's fine.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last thing that you said.
Yeah. I'd like to touch on one more thing, and I'll just say it. The curriculum is built for players and parents as a roadmap to give them challenges that they can go out and complete on their own. It is not meant to be intrusive or invasive to any coaching community. And we're not telling kids how to play or how to strike the ball. We're simply giving them challenges so they can prove or demonstrate competency over control of the forehand, control of the backhand, control of the volley, the lob, etc., so that when they do have a complete skill set, they can then go work with a coach on strategy and movement and how to use all of those combinations of strokes to be successful in the game. And so, this is something to really drive the kids and the parents to practice on their own. And we've gotten great reception from the coaching community, because they love the fact that the kids are out there doing the work on their own and showing up to the lessons better, because they're motivated by the grip and by the levels. So I just want to make it clear that this is not to take anything away from the private coaching community. It's more of a something that helps support what they're doing.
Oh, most definitely is. That's why we here in Maryland are great believers in the program, Craig. And kind of another thing that I think that makes your program very special is that it's based upon ability, not age. So, kids are signing up, they're at a blue level based upon their skill set, not their age. So you might see an 8-year-old in a blue class, and you might see a 12-year-old in a blue class, because their skill set is equal. So I think that that's really cool. That we've got this by skill, it seems. Would you agree, Craig?
That's exactly right. I mean, what we found is in USTA tournaments, you really do compete by age. And so you might have a nationally ranked 12-year-old playing against a beginner 12-year-old, and it really comes out a 6-0, 6-0 match, and it's not a great experience. That's not to say the tournaments are bad. Thank goodness they're running them. They're doing a great job by now dividing it by level and having you earn your way up into the higher level tournaments. But what we found is that we now have clubs running blue grip versus blue grip, green versus green grip, and the kids we now know have comparable levels in skills. And so
Right.
competing by skill set versus competing by age always makes the matches a little more competitive and a little closer. And ultimately, as coaches, what we want is competitive matches with pressure because you believe you can beat that person.
Yes.
And so it's been a great experience having that kind of evolve out of the program.
So, kind of to summarize, it is not age-specific. It's a hierarchical program. It's a progressive program where you move from one level to another based upon demonstrating a skill set and also online testing with knowledge base. And the program itself, the curricula, is not about, as Craig just said, is not about how to hit a forehand, a backhand, a serve, and a volley. It's how to use the skills and games within the context of the forehand, serve, backhand, and volley. So we're putting together the shots in combination, and he's broken it down into those 3 core elements that he talked about earlier. If anybody has questions, I'm looking for them. I think Craig has been so fantastic answering everything that you don't have questions, which might be a good thing. Craig, it might be you hit the ball out of the park, man.
I've been talking about this program for a long time, and we believe in it. And like I said, we have so many clubs across the country that believe in what we're doing, and they're seeing results of their kids improving simply because the kids are doing the work now to improve on their own. And we have been embraced by the coaching community to say that thank you for creating a structure where the kids can improve on their own and supplement what we're doing as coaches. It's been a wonderful journey so far.
Well, it's been a wonderful trip joining you on the journey, and we hope to see many, many, many more years of Craig developing this program. And by the way, there is also a GRIPS app for testers and coaches, which is really unique to have a tennis app out there, the GRIPS app. That's phenomenal too. But listen, Craig, thank you so much for your time. Look forward to seeing you again. And again, if anyone wants to contact Craig, feel free to do so by visiting the gripsprogram.com website. Good evening to you all. Okay.
Thank you. Baltimore.
Bye-bye.